Hello, welcome to another edition of the Right Wing Populist Podcast. I am the Right Wing Populist. So, on today's show, I want to sort of address a lot of the criticism I've gotten for yesterday's episode regarding Nicke Fuentes and his feud with Tim Pool. A lot of the Fuentes fans did not seem to like the video. They made their displeasure very clear in the comments section on the YouTube version. You know, you can say a lot about Nicke Fuentes, but one thing you have to give to him is his fans are super loyal. There's no question about it. They're very loyal. You know, probably they're loyal in the same way a girlfriend's loyal to the boyfriend that beats him up, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure what you're getting out of it, but they're definitely loyal. There's no question about it. But I think, and you know, they actually, some of his fans in the comments did make some good points. I didn't thoroughly address all the issues that have sort of come up with this feud, and I wanted to make sure I did that. But before we do, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the podcast. You can subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, essentially wherever you can get your podcasts. Subscribe to my website, rightwingpopulist.com. If you want to support the podcast financially, there's a paid option on the website to subscribe. I really appreciate the support. So, like I said, a lot of the Fuentes fans are not happy with the episode from yesterday, and I wanted to address some of the criticisms. Number one, a very prevalent criticism I saw of the video was this idea that Tim Pool isn't actually right wing. Tim Pool is right wing. He may not be as right wing as Fuentes, but Tim Pool is definitely right wing. I mean, he's been coddling Trump's balls for over 6-7 years now. Okay, every video he's done is from a right wing perspective, essentially. He's either talking about crime or how bad, woke is and everything, how bad DEI is. He is clearly on the right, Temple. He's not he may say he's a liberal, that's okay. I mean, that's like, a guy who hasn't had a girlfriend his whole life saying he's really straight still. I mean, it's not, at a certain point, it's just not believable. And Tim Pool, saying he's a liberal and not a right winger, it's just not believable at this point. And I mean, again, that was a very common thing I saw in the comments. Oh, Tim Pool, he's not a right winger. Yes, Tim Pool is a right winger. He's right wing. He may not say it himself, but he's clearly right wing. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. And again, you can't coddle Trump's balls for the last 6 years the way Tim Pool has and not be right wing. I'm sorry. Even if your actual views on certain policies aren't right wing, the effect of Tim Pool's show, and I don't mind this because I wanted Trump to win, but the effect of Tim Pool's show was to boost the right, to boost Trump, to help him win this past election. And I'm happy about it. I wanted Trump to win, unlike Nicke Fuentes, by the way. Again, this guy who claims he's America first didn't even vote for Trump or didn't even directly support Trump in this past election. Was okay, essentially, with Kamala becoming president, and this guy's America first. I mean, give me a break. But Tim Pool is definitely right wing. There's no question about it. And there was another thing I saw in the comments, this idea that I wasn't addressing Tim Pool. I wasn't addressing Nicke Fuentes' points directly. I think I did to some degree, but I'll go even further. I mean, Nicke Fuentes is somewhat of a hypocrite. He gets very mad, and sometimes justifiably so, when people mischaracterize him and his views and his actions. Fair point, and people have done that to Fuentes, and that's not cool. Just because you don't like someone's politics doesn't mean you should misrepresent what they've said or done. But he did that with Tim Pool. I mean, I'll play the more audio of what he said, but he said things about Tim Pool that are clearly not true.
No, I can't do that because he's going to get my YouTube banned. No, I can't do that because he offended me when him and Ye got up and left. No, I can't do that because, his audience keeps asking for him and you're not supposed to do that. So, Tim, go fuck yourself. You were in a meeting with Netanyahu and nobody would even know that unless somebody leaked it. You got mad that you got exposed and found out. You met with the Prime Minister of Israel. You've lost your ability to say that you're impartial. I only care about America. Is that why you were meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and telling him about how anti-Semitism is created by Qatar? I mean, give me a break. You allowed Daily Wire to use your facility or vice versa for your election night coverage in 2024. after you denied that you were going to get bought out by them. You took Russian money. So shut the fuck up. You are not impartial. You don't care about America.
Okay, so putting aside the fact that, the insults, I mean, first off, number one, just because you take a meeting with Netanyahu does not mean you don't support America. I mean, I agree with the criticism that a lot of people on the right have been making lately, that people like Ben Shapiro, a lot of people at the Daily Wire, are way too pro-Israel and sometimes at the expense of what's probably in the interest of America. That critique is true. But just because Tim Pool met with Netanyahu, among with other journalists and content creators, doesn't mean Tim Pool doesn't love America or isn't looking at what's best for America. A lot of people would meet with Netanyahu. I'm sure Fuentes probably would, if he maybe not because of concern of his own safety, but why would you not want to meet with one of the most powerful, especially if you think, if you think Netanyahu is actually the real person running the United States, why would you not meet with him? I mean, that's sort of contradictory if you think about it. This guy is super powerful. He's really the guy who's running our country, but I'm not going to meet with him. I mean, what the fuck? That almost seems contradictory. It's probably not actually contradictory in a real sense, but it's sort of practically a contradiction if you think about it. And then he essentially he says that, oh, Tim Pool took Russian money. He took Russian money, essentially implying that he's not a real American and he doesn't care about America's interests. It's like, dude, even the Biden DOJ, when they indicted Tenet Media for taking foreign money, Russian money, they made it very clear that the content creators that were a part of this media deal, that they were victims, including Tim Pool. They weren't a part of this whole deal. And why would you even trust what the Biden DOJ had to say about Russia? It was basically Russiagate 2.0. And you're just like taking the bait on that, Nick? Oh, he took Russian money. He took Russian money. It's like, dude, you sound like Rachel Maddow. Oh my God, Tim Pool took money, and then some of it may have come from the Russians. It's like, who cares? Who cares? There's no evidence. Again, as what the indictment of the Tenet Media people said, there's no evidence that Tim Pool had to change his content views. Contrary to what you hear from left-wing people and people like Fuentes on the internet, there's no evidence Tim Pool changed any of his views because he was taking money from Tenet. It was a media deal. Okay, it's very common. I'm sure Fuentes has done it. At least he's tried to do it in the past when he was trying to get a job with the Daily Wire. I mean, this is pretty common stuff. So the fact that he'd be like, oh, he took Russian money. It's like, dude, go work for MSNBC then if you're going to start using those bullshit attacks. I mean, come on. Again, he's so sensitive and rightfully so in some aspects. I get it. He's so sensitive when people, attributed him bad motive or conspiracy theories like the idea he's a Fed. I mean, Nicke Fuentes is clearly not a Fed. Totally will give that to him. And people who accuse him of being a Fed are clearly naive. He sacrificed a lot for his worldview, whether you agree with it or not. And you have to respect that. But he then does what he doesn't, he does what he accuses other people of doing, of giving him other people false motives. I mean, that's the problem with Fuentes and why, in some ways, he's not really America first in a lot of ways. But I mean, he's just a conspiracy. This idea that he's a conspiracy theorist. I mean, this idea that Israel runs the United States is not true. It's just not. And this sort of brings us to a larger topic about Fuentes and whether or not he really is America first. First off, from a strictly, political point of view, Nicke Fuentes' movement, again, whether you agree with it or not, is not politically viable. Okay, it's just not. He holds views that the majority of Americans don't believe in. So it's very hard to be America first if you can't even get elected. How are you going to implement these policies if you're not going to get elected? Whether you like it or not, America is becoming more diverse. And you have to win these people over to win the election. Trump would have not won this past election without getting over 40% of the Hispanic vote, slightly improving in some rural black counties in places like Georgia and North Carolina. You need to appeal to minority voters to win elections going forward. He certainly would not have won the popular vote without doing well with some of these minority voters, particularly young minority voters. And I'm sorry, Fuentes is, he's called himself a racialist and this idea that race is real. Again, if you believe that, fine, but that's a turnoff for a lot of, younger minority voters. And you're just not gonna get elected that way. Tim Pool, whether you like it or not, he appeals to a larger demographic. Again, a demographic that just got Trump elected. And again, this sort of is again, it also shows Fuentes' hypocrisy. He took credit for Trump winning this past election when he made it very clear on his show and on Twitter or wherever that he wasn't supporting the guy. And then he takes credit. Like, I can't believe we did it again. What do you mean we? You were shitting on Trump. You were wrong. You said that if he continued listening to Chris LaCivita, he was going to lose the election. He won easily. You were wrong, buddy. You were wrong. And he never really owned it. And frankly, Fuentes is a contrarian, and that's okay. I've been a contrarian in my life. I understand that. But he's been clearly contrarian with Trump. When Trump has become more mainstream, he won the popular vote. And that's how more mainstream he got. You see Fuentes become more anti-Trump. He's a contrarian. Is he really America first, or is he just a contrarian? I mean, you can be both, I suppose. But if your rhetoric and your sort of what you emphasize is just based off what's more, out there, what's more contrarian, are you really America first, or do you just want to be an edgelord? I don't know. Not clear with Fuentes, unfortunately. So I understand some of the criticism the Fuentes fans have, and I get why they're sensitive. I get it. I get why y'all can be sensitive. I mean, I do. He was unfairly, from a free speech point of view, banned off of all these major platforms. He had a rough couple of years. I totally get it. I'm not trying to hate on Fuentes. And by the way, there are comments saying you wouldn't debate Nick. I saw a few of them. Obviously, I would debate Nick. I mean, he's not going to do it. I'm a new podcaster. I have a very new website. I don't have, much of a following base so far. But obviously, if he ever invited me, I would totally debate him on anything he wanted to. You could reach out to me on X, or my website has the Gmail you can reach out to me on. So, of course, I would talk and debate Nick, but, I don't think he will because I'm new to the game, but just putting that out there. So anyway, it's just not. If you actually look at the actual details of the feud between Poole and Fuentes, Poole's clearly more on the right. He's just obviously correct that Fuentes is way too obsessed with Israel. He's just factually wrong. This idea that Israel runs the United States. There are other foreign lobbies that are similar to Israeli size that have major influence in the United States, like Saudi Arabia. And while Saudi Arabia and Israel, they're not on bad terms per se. They're officially not on good terms. I understand that there's some, in reality, Saudi Arabia and Israel get along better than, other Middle Eastern countries. There's no question, but it's not like they're best friends still. So, and Saudi Arabia has huge influence in the United States. Other countries do. Qatar, I mean, they just gave Trump a fucking plane. I mean, it's not just Israel. And by the way, I agree with the Groypers in the sense that obviously we should give Israel less money. We should stop giving them any money. And the way they've handled the war with what's going on in the Middle East with Hamas and everything, it's terrible. With Gaza, I'm totally with the Groypers on that, but I don't have that view because I don't like Jewish people. And I'm sorry, if you don't think that Fuentes' view on the whole Gaza war isn't influenced by his conspiracy theory of Jews running the world, then you're very naive. You're very naive. That's not to say, yes, Israel has a lot of power that I wish they didn't. But they don't run the United States. Trump is running the United States right now. And Israel's not like dictating every little thing Trump does. That's not the case. So, anyway, again, Tim Pool in this feud is right. He is too obsessed with Israel. Fuentes smeared Pool, just making accusations that makes him sound like he belongs on MSNBC. Rachel Maddow. He kind of looks like Rachel Maddow now. Nick Fuentes, if you want to know the truth, but that's a story for another day. I mean, they both never, I'm just going to leave it at that. But, and again, is he really America first? If all you do is talk about Israel and you support policies that can't get a majority support, so how are you even going to, get elected? And your policies are implemented on, somehow getting rid of the Jewish influence and becoming a Christian nationalist country. Are you really America first, or are you just Nick Fuentes first and enjoys being a contrarian? Which is why you've been anti-Trump, because Trump has become mainstream. I don't know, just food for thought. Anyway, that's today's podcast. If you enjoyed, please subscribe. Again, I'm available anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can get it. Or if you want, you can subscribe on YouTube. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.